Evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shaked Bar-Tal. Waiting for my special guest to join me. So let me just send him the invite link, and then we'll go right into the topic of the NFL draft. Recap, analysis, take everyone questions, answer, and all of the fun stuff. So I will be back in a second. Just need to send the invite link to my special guest. Here we are, I'm back. Like I said, this was taking me a second. While I do that, I hope everyone had a great day today. Wednesday, we are almost at the weekend. 2 days from the weekend, 2 days from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. NFL draft ended on Sunday, on Sunday. I was thinking for a second, Saturday. Well, no, actually, the NFL draft ended on Saturday. It used to be that the NFL draft was on extending it to Sunday, but not this year. This year, basically, we had NFL draft on Thursday, on Friday, and then Saturday was the last round. So that was basically the NFL draft, which what we are going to talk about with my special guest, which I need to check again where's my special guest, because an exclusive special guest that is coming in on my show tonight. So let me check real quick again. What's up, Leah? How you doing tonight? Name is Shaked, Sports Guy Show. We have a big show tonight. I have a big time guest join me on my show. Here he is. What's up, Panther Ball?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
You come on, special guest from, ladies and gentlemen, this is Panthers Ball. He's a celebrity on the radio station in Charlotte, North Carolina. Basically, he's a part-time host on the radio station, unofficially, officially. Part-time. Oh,
That's highly inaccurate,
part.
but I get my jollies for sure. There's no doubt. What you say,
Right.
man?
No, everyone in FNZ know Panthers Ball. They call me Cooper Flag, which I definitely don't look like Cooper Flag. But anyway, so the reason I want to have you on, we had the NFL draft, which ended on Saturday, and just want to get your overall take, and then we will talk about Panthers draft grade and all of the fun stuff that we can talk about. And there was non-fun stuff with the prank, which I have so much to say about it. So I'd like to get your thought early on. Did you have any surprise pick, especially in
Uh, sorry, you kind of broke up there. She had a hard time hearing that. What was that?
So I was saying we had the draft, which ended on Saturday. We had the NFL draft ended on Saturday. So basically, want to get your take on any picks, surprising picks, disappointing or shocking picks, and then we can talk about the Panthers and NFL in general, because we also had some not pleasant stuff took place in the draft this year.
Sure. I think everybody was surprised by Teta McMillan, or T Mac as he wants to be called. I think everybody was surprised by that pick, considering that Xavier Leggett said that they told him if he's on the board, we're going to take you last year, and so for our entire front office to basically pull off a smokescreen. I mean, you had every single draft analysis. Um, my dog is just this is becoming her
Yeah,
show now
yeah.
too with the
I thought
squeaky
it's a
toy. Let's
bed.
see if we can get that goose out of there.
I thought it's a
Um,
bed.
yeah. That's a Panther Millie over there. No, but yeah, I mean, everyone was surprised, and I mean, you've heard what Dan said. He was paranoid about the fact that if they were going to go and get start locking in on somebody, they didn't. People were going to trade up to get him, which I'm sure there was multiple teams that were going to do that. So they put out and carried out a perfect smokescreen, and they got their guy. I'm looking forward to him. I think the way you look at it, and I don't know how to break this down in an analytical way, but receivers, especially the high end ones, those are the ones that you just don't get in free agency. I mean, I know they tried, even with a guy as old as DK Metcalf, you pay such a premium for that position. So they knew that it was going to be deep there on the edge side, which is really what they were looking at, and they were able to double dip after getting McMillan, and I was just completely stunned. I mean, I was taking a cat nap. I kind of fell asleep, and I just heard like while I was on my little nap, like the Panthers have traded up, and they are on, and I'm waking up. Also, my phone starts blowing up, and then it comes on the TV that we got Nick Gordon. I got my dad text me. I got people tag. I mean, I'm just pumped. I mean, I didn't think that they were connected in any way to Nick Gordon. And so I didn't think that he was on their radar. So that's two stunners back to back to start the draft. Um, and I mean, from someone that's watched every down of Gordon and I watched a lot of him play. I watched a lot of the games at A&M as well. But I watched him when he was really playing well that sophomore year at Purdue. And I was joking around. I was like, man, that was really the only thing you'd go to. Like, he was the must watch TV on that defense every single Saturday. And it'd just be like, whether he's applying pressure to a quarterback, whether he's stopping the run, whether he's doing something, he's so disruptive. And so, yeah, I was a little disappointed and perplexed with, well, why'd they put him over here, at A&M? Why has he gained all this weight? I mean, I'm like, I guess give credit to Texas A&M not to know how to manage, talent or how to screw things up, but because they certainly get a lot of it in there. But yeah, man, I just those are the two right there, right out of the gate. I was over the moon. I'm just like, dude, we are so back.
Yeah. Now was going a Nick Scolton, I believe he played the opposite side of Shamal Stewart, but yet relatively he put up bigger numbers than Shamal Stewart, and Shamal Stewart went 17 overall to the Bengals. So that is a number one. Number two, regarding to T-Mac, I think, honestly, now that we know everything, they were never interested in Jalen Walker, and they were probably never interested in Malcolm Graham,
I
the
think
guy
they
from
were
Michigan.
interested in Mason Graham. I might agree with you a little bit on the Jalen Walker deal, although I think that when the report came out that he was going to need surgery in the offseason, I think that kind of changed things a bit as well. And also the fact Mason Graham, I think that if Mason Graham was there at 8, I think this is a whole different thing. I think they would have drafted him.
Over T-Mac.
I think so. That's just I've got nothing to back that up, but I just think that was I just I don't know. That's just a gut instinct. Like I said, I got nothing to back that up.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Logan, I think in the press conference after they drafted T-Mac, basically stated once Mason Graham went, the draft basically started. So that is indications that, yeah, they were interested in Mason Graham. Now, I am curious. I know Tony Pellin reported that Jalen Walker needed the surgery like on Friday. I'm surprised we didn't hear anything about that prior to the draft.
Yeah, I think that that's interesting. It came out afterwards, so it's almost like they just wanted, it was kind of like a team specific deal. I don't know. Maybe they thought that if fans knew that this guy was going to need off season surgery, they wouldn't be pumped up to get him. I have no idea on that one either.
Right. And like I said, back to Sculpton, it's interesting that he was a second round pick. We trade up for him. He played at A&M, I believe the opposite side of Jamal Stewart or next to him, but Jamal Stewart went 17 overall.
Yeah, I mean, Shamar Stewart, I think he's going to be good too. But yeah, I mean, they definitely they were putting him and utilizing him in different looks to where he was had a lot of responsibility to stop the run, and just kind of be a bulldozer over on the edge. But um, I just I didn't understand him putting on all that weight. It looked like he just wasn't. He didn't have that extra, like, just where he just freakishly just bulldozes through guys. I mean, he just kind of plays. He played just. You could see there was a clear difference. So when I found out that he had already lost the weight, when we got him, and he's already getting slimmer. I mean, I heard Willie P multiple times on the station this week say he's projecty, projecty. I love P Man, but I don't know. I want to hear a little bit of clarification on what projecty means because they're all rookies right now. None of them have played anything. They haven't done anything for their teams in the NFL. So technically, everyone's a project. So I didn't understand that criticism. I just think this dude's going to be an absolute stud. And I am shocked that we got him at 51. I mean, they had him on their big board on the first round pick. I just I just valued him very highly too. So it's lucky, but at the same time, they also were honed in on him clearly. But I mean it, yeah.
Yeah, so back to the T-Mac situation, I saw a report that basically multiple teams were interested in trading up. And I guess we will never know realistically what the Rams offer, what the Packers offer. But just considering that so many teams, at least two, I believe also Dallas potentially was interested, that clearly indicate if if he does what we expect him to do, stay disciplined, practice hard, then he has a chance to truly become our day one starter from first practice, in essence, so training camp and preseason, regular season, because we don't have tall wideout. I mean, our last tall wideout, I have to go back to Devin Funches, who I believe was 6'4", and Calvin Benjamin, like 6'6", 6'5". And sure, Leggett, I believe, is 6'2", if I remember correctly. And Adam Sinlin, I believe, is also 6'2", and Jalen Coker around that height. So for someone like Bryce, because typically with Bryce in the past, whenever he miss ice. He doesn't miss low throws. So that can realistically make a big difference.
100%. And you know, listen, they've got great coaches in that offensive room, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this guy has worked with a lot of dudes. Was it Rod Smarts? Not Rod Smart. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Rod Starks or
More,
something, but he's got a great
David,
reputation.
more, Rob Moore.
Okay, there you go. He's got a great reputation. Offensive coordinator. He's got a great reputation, and Dave Canales, of course. So, you know, do I think Coker would have developed like he did last season if he wouldn't have had that coaching? I don't know, but I don't think it hurt. And so I think that T Mac's coming into a great receiver room. He's going to have a quarterback that's just going to be just so pumped up to have him there because I mean he's a contested catch guy. He gets those balls. He has a knack for doing that, And that's you just can't say enough about that.
I think for T-Max, the only things that might keep him from becoming truly good wideout is maturity. That I believe is the biggest maturity wise. Like I believe when he was a freshman, I don't know. I think maybe in college, if I remember correctly, he stated that he doesn't like to watch tapes, which I'm wondering if perhaps the Panthers leak that tape. That
But
is my guess.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there. And you're not. Listen, a lot of people have agreed with your sentiment there with those points, but I just see a guy who's confident. He's first of all, the tape was from freshman year of college. Probably never thought it was going to go out that wide. So I don't think he was. Like he said, you don't run routes as crisp as he does, and you don't have production like he did at Arizona without being, working on your craft. So I think he's confident. There's no doubt about that. He's got some swag to him, but I wouldn't. I hesitate to use the word, at this level right now, going into this off season with the Panthers. I just don't see him as immature. I wouldn't want to label him like that.
Yeah, hopefully I'm wrong, but I mean, realistically, that is the only thing I think I can think of that will keep him from becoming a great wideout. Because yes, the height is 6'4", the speed, the combine, I believe he ran 4.5, if I remember correctly, which is not slow for a wideout. So potentially Mike Evans, a maybe Drake London comparison, which if it's what maybe even Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson wasn't a very fast wideout, but he was Megatron. I mean, he caught basically every pass that you threw him to, threw the ball to him. So that is the comparison.
Yeah, I think Calvin Johnson was a freak. I mean, that dude was different. He's in a tier of his own, but I definitely could see a T. Higgins, Drake London. He's definitely a little thin, but I mean, he's got really good hands, which I don't know if you noticed last year, Shakad, but we had a couple issues with dropping the ball, balls that were just put like right in the breadbasket. So it's nice that this dude just all he does is catch balls. So that's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the guy that we drafted in the third round, Princey, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but speaking of FNZ, actually last Thursday on the draft day, I think someone texted and stated because at the time we saw the Panthers were going to trade down from the 8th pick, and someone mentioned all like maybe trade with the Steelers or someone like that in the first round and maybe draft Princey. So I don't know if realistically he had that high of a grade or it was just one listener would it suggest.
Um, I mean, he's what did he have? 10.5 sacks last year in the
Yeah,
SEC. I mean,
yeah,
he's quick. He's a different kind of pass rushes. He's a different edge than Scoredin is. So you can blend those guys. Uh, I mean, I don't know how we got him either. To be honest, it just shows you how many really good defensive players were in this draft for these guys to kind of for us to get them where we got them.
yeah. Which
Be
one
right back.
player, one player that I was hoping that the Panthers would be one player that I was hoping potentially, but I understand why they didn't draft him, Mike Green. Well, in my opinion, we know about off the field character issue, which there are serious, extremely serious red flags. But if we're talking about talent per se, I believe overall he's as good as Abdul Carter, pass rusher.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely got some good tape. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The dude, the dude's great. But it's you know what it is. It's all
Yeah,
about the worries of that the past and allegations, wherever you want to call it. I mean, that's I can understand how any team would have hesitancy. Especially when you've got as many edge rushers as there were in this draft.
right. Which the Ravens dealing with their old allegation with their kicker, they drafted another one. Go figure. Ravens. That is the interesting and the same thing. The reason why Isaiah banned because of his allegation. That is why I believe he wasn't drafted. We know that, but yet no one signed him. So that clearly indicate to players stay out of trouble, whether you are guilty or not. Just stay completely away from it if you want to play in the NFL. If you want to have a chance. And speaking of the NFL, I was kind of surprised by the Browns, what they did. So many bizarre decisions. I mean, I know we don't follow the Browns that much, Carolina, but their general manager, Andrew Berry, when he spoke of Travis Hunter, he compared him to Shohei Ohtani, basically once in a generation type of a player. Then you trade with the Jags, which they got Mason Graham. Some saying Mason Graham is very good, like my colleague Alex Bryant. He is very high on Mason Graham. Some, including myself, are not as high on Mason Graham. And then they drafted two quarterback, which doesn't make sense. I mean, you draft Dylan Gabriel with he's an old quarterback. For NFL standard, he's old. And then you draft in the fifth round Shador Sanders, and I mean, you have a first round pick. And I thought the Browns, the reason why they traded down with the Jags, acquiring the first round pick, is to draft a quarterback next year because the quarterback class supposed to be very strong and very, so why in the world do you draft two quarterbacks? Doesn't make sense when you already have Kenny Pickett, who I know is not very good, and Joe Flacco is 40 years old, but he can still throw the ball. So it doesn't. The Browns are a complete mess, in my opinion.
And you know why they're a complete mess? It's because it's pretty obvious their owner is still able to basically pull some strings over there. I mean, I can't have anyone tell me that that call to get Shador was it was Jimmy Haslam. I mean that just that I mean whatever you think about Sanders, it's fine, but you're right when it's like there was clearly no plan to. All right, well he's available. Let's be the team that gets him. That'll you know what I mean? Like that didn't make any sense. And the reaction from the people in that front office, they didn't look like they were too pumped up. Like that was
They
their
just
guy.
clap.
You
They
know.
just clap. They just clap, and that was the thing.
Yeah. So I think that we can be happy about the fact that we haven't seen any signs of any Tepper meddling at all over the last couple of years. And and we can still see that teams that have a history of having a meddling owner are still showing you that they have a meddling owner.
Exactly. And speaking of Temple, Dan Morgan basically made guest appearance shows on the radios and on the TV. So it was on the Pat McAfee show, I think yesterday, I believe. So I saw a clip today where he basically talked about David Tepper and he stated he's misunderstood, he's very supportive, he want to win, and we have a lot of laugh and great conversation, and he's basically very supportive type of owners that will give us basically anything that we need. And he mentioned the practice facilities that they are building and everything in essence. So that about the Tepels. But I'm speaking of another surprise, and I kind of like it because I'm a Panthers fan, but I honestly don't understand what in the heck were the Saints doing drafting Tyler Shook. Now, Tyler Shook, he is probably going to be a very good quarterback. But at the same time, in September, he's 26 years old, almost approaching Chris Winkie age when he was drafted. I believe Winkie was drafted 28, if I remember, age 28. So it's almost there. And I mean, NFL quarterback with the type of hits that you're going to take, he might be looking at potentially 5 years, 6 years career. So it doesn't make sense. Why would you invest a second round pick in someone who more than likely, age 32, 33, either he will retire or will be on his last leg of his career?
Yeah, I mean the Saints are definitely their philosophy of there is no salary cap and just continuing to let that go down the river. I think that eventually it's starting to catch up to him. But I mean, you saw with Spencer Rattler, he didn't have any time last year. I mean, Rattler was under pressure all the time, and their offensive line was just complete booty cheeks. So I wasn't expecting any quarterback. I don't care whether his name's Derek Carr or Tyler Shook or Spencer, whatever it is. They don't have any protection there, and I won't. You can't tell me that they've taken care of that all in one off season. So I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't see that as like a referendum on Spencer Rattler. I saw that as like, dude, the guy's got literally people in his face right away. People talk about, well, Bryce had a bad game against the Cowboys. It's like, well, no, people got right up the middle. It was a bad day for the offensive line, and for an offensive line that's been very good, you just can't give a quarterback one Mississippi to and it's in your face. You know what I mean? Like you got to give these guys some time. And so I don't. I mean, maybe this guy's really good, Tyler Shook. I haven't really watched a bunch of his film, but at the end of the day, I think we have so much referendums on these quarterbacks when really it's the pieces around them. It's protection. It's guys that can get open. It's getting off the field if you're the defense. And it's why my guy Aiden O'Connell was over there in the Raiders. And it's like, dude, can we just free this guy and get him on a good organization? Because I've seen my guy play some good ball. That's a whole other thing, Shaked. I'll go on forever about that. That's just another Purdue product. You know me, I always got to rep my Boilers at some point.
Yeah, so I mean, in the thing, I mean, we don't know realistically, is Derek Carr going to be needing a surgery or not? So it's so bizarre situation. I mean, the Saints did grab a very good tackle with the ninth pick, but unless I'm mistaken, one of their very good tackle retired last month. Ramsey Remchek, one of
That's
their
right.
starters, he
That's right.
retired. So, and the guys that they drafted a couple of years ago, I think Andrew Pitt, or not Andrew Pitt, the guy from Iowa, Taylor, forgot his last name. But they thought very highly of him. It was a tackle. The other days they basically declined his fifth-year option. So that is telling you what they think of that player. So I agree with you. I mean, sooner rather than later it has to catch up with them, but so far it is not, because I mean they brought back on a pretty good deal Chase Young, and they made a couple of moves. I mean, I don't know realistically how every year we think the Saints are in cap room hell. The Saints are minus 70, minus 80 million in cap room, and then all of a sudden, March, bang, we have money. Maybe the casino, I don't know. I mean, I'm joking about the casino, but it just doesn't make sense how a team that is so deep in negative all of a sudden is able to free up money, not only to free up the requirement, but free up money to sign players.
Yeah,
So
well, I
that,
think we're starting to see it catch up to them, right? I mean, you started to see at the end of last season. I just expect for them to be the bottom feeders in the NFC South this year. So, we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I'm with you.
yeah, and then I mean the Falcons, I thought they had a decent draft. I really liked the safeties that they drafted from Notre Dame. Watts, I believe his last name. So that was a good pick for them. But I think realistically, they gave up too much for James Pierce Jr., considering that he might have been available 8 picks later, because the Falcons were to pick 8 picks later.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. I just first of all, I mean, I guess James Pierce Jr. is worth doing that. I don't know. I mean, there's, you know what I mean? Like, maybe that's just how high they were on him, but I just, yeah, I was pretty. It just showed me that the GM is already on the hot seat, and he's like, "All right, well, just send it. I'm not going to be here next year anyway, so why does it matter to me? If it works, it works. You know, if not, so they kind of went all in. They didn't have a bad draft, but yeah, I'm worried about the Falcons. They definitely got some pieces on their defense now, and you know, I like their quarterback, even though I shouldn't, because he's like an Indiana guy. You know, he's a Hoosier, and he also plays for the Falcons. But I like that dude, Penix. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think that they're definitely going to be. They could be a little bit of a problem this year.
Yeah, so we had a question from a guest in the chat. How do you guys like Bryce Young? We like him a lot. I mean, someone today on Twitter asked who is the best or the most popular player to wear number 9 in the NFL. I believe in all time. And of course, yours truly, I voted and I named Bryce Young. And actually, instead of getting backlash, which a year ago, a year and a half ago, people would say, "You're crazy. What the heck are you talking about? He's a boss. He's a garbage." Instead, that tweet got plenty of likes, plenty of retweets, and plenty of comments like he's the GOAT and all of that. So, yeah, absolutely, Carolina. Maybe not as much where you are born in Texas, because obviously it's not as big of a Panthers popularity over there. But here in Charlotte, everyone is very, very high on Bryce Young, extremely high. Not just on the radio, but in general.
Well, we got Roaring Riot out here, so I mean, we roll pretty deep come game day, and we hang out all season. And I can speak on behalf of the Panthers fans in Dallas. Yes, we love Bryce Young.
Yeah, and I mean, the expectation is very high, but unfortunately, outside of FanFest, fans in Charlotte and the Carolinas, we will not get to attend training camp, which that is a terrible decision by the Panthers. Because I don't know if you ever been ball to a Panthers training camp practice.
You know, that's one of those things. Yeah, I never made it to. So I get it. I also get that they've got a lot of construction and logistic wise. It probably didn't make any sense. They didn't want guys to have to travel down to Wofford. They didn't, there is no Rock Hill facility to go to. So yeah, I can understand any fans that have a gripe over that. But I got no hat in the ring for that one.
But the things that I don't understand, they say they're doing construction for the locker room. They're building the extra locker room. What does building the extra locker room have to do with preventing with holding practice at Bank of America Stadium? Why could they not all practice inside the stadium?
I just think it's a logistics thing, man. I don't know how that all. I just know that I've been in construction before. I've been on a job sites, and I've seen to where it can get so congested, and just from a liability standpoint, you can't have fans hanging around and being a part of things where you've got guys that are you got millwrights and electricians running pipe. You got all kinds of things going on that I can understand. They just like and it is what it is. I mean, it sucks, but I
Yeah, because I I mean it very well. What's up, Daniel? What's up, everyone? Please smash the like button if you haven't done so, and please subscribe. Thank you. So I think at the very worst, they should have all beside FanFest, Bank of America Stadium, back to practice. back to practice, which is very popular in the NFL. Every team have their tradition where basically it's the first practice in training camp or like the third practice, typically on a Saturday, open to the fans. And I've attended it in the past. Even I attended back when Frank Reich, I believe 2023, when they had it in Waffled. And even though the practice was at 10 a.m., and I drove hour and a half from Charlotte, they still had 15, 20,000 fans showed up. So that is how popular training camp and the Panthers are. And like I said, I think they should have all open back to practice. Maybe even in Colombia. I mean, I'm not sure why they didn't think about Colombia. I understand that they never played in Colombia, but I'm sure they could have worked in agreement with the Gamecocks if Watford wasn't available. Go to Colombia because here's what they will do, Bo, and they've done it in the past for training camp. They will stream training camp practice, part of it, but instead of having play-by-play analysis, Steve Smith, Amish Schraub, someone like that, we will hear the annoying music. The same music that we hear for a press conference, we will hear that for training camp. And I mean, the thing is, when we go to training camp, they allow us to take pictures. They allow us to take videos. So why can't they have play, even if they don't want to share secret? I understand. You cannot share secretive information because NFL is very competitive, sport, business. At the same time, at least have play by play, letting us know, listen, this is I formation. Now line up Bryce Young or something like that. Throw to the right, throw to the left. Bring us some sort of excitement because I believe, and this is my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. I don't think the Panthers truly care about the fan base because if they did, construction, they could have found a solution that would work for construction, but also allow the fans to take part in training camp. Because my final point, and then I will let you speak, Bo. Training camp, number one, for children, young kids, it's a memorable experience. For older person like myself, you still go, you take pictures, you look back at it, and finally, a lot of people, with the way the economy is in general, a lot of people cannot afford to go to NFL games. So they go to practice. That might be the only thing that they can afford during the year, and maybe they get autograph or a picture, and all of that will be missed for the next 2 years, except for FanFest, which FanFest, they will probably all tickets and some will get in, some will not.
You know, I don't know when they were all getting together, whenever that was, and deciding, hey, we're putting all this stuff in. There's going to be construction. What other options do we have to make the fans accessible to see this? I don't know what that conversation was. I don't know logistically how it made any sense. So I can't speak on behalf of the front office or Tepper Enterprises. But I can't say that they don't care about the fans. I mean, time flies. We'll get to the front of the season. We'll get to see these guys play. A part of me, in my own selfish little way, after we had guys flying drones over the field last year, and you get all this accessibility. A part of me, in my own selfish way, is like, eh, I'm not so disappointed the fact that it's going to be somewhat of a mystery going into preseason on what these guys are doing and what they're holding back and what they're working on. That's just me, but I also understand you can't hide it. They're going to know what you. So I get it. I totally do. But the season will get there. They'll still show highlights, and it sucks, but it'll be back.
Right. No, and I mean the media will get there. In my final suggestion for training camps, since outside of FanFest, the fans will not be able to attend it. Maybe they can play loud noise of an away team, just so they will get used to the environment. like you're on the road every day, like booze and Panther sock and Bryce sock and all of that, just so you will get used to the environment of playing on the road. Because realistically, like the road for them.
I
So
think
that,
that, yeah, I mean, they'll get those reps in preseason. I mean, we still got that, so they'll get that feeling. And I after what happened last year, I think that they've probably kind of learned somewhat of a lesson now that we've got more depth on this roster as well. That we're gonna have to get some more reps for our starters before before week one. Make sure everyone's as sharp as possible. At least feels that contact. But yeah, I mean, they're professionals. They've seen it before. It doesn't go away. It comes right back.
right. No, but I mean, you practice at home. You don't have defense for training camp, which kind of disappointing because guess who's coming to practice against the Panthers this year?
What we got? It was well, you already know. Who is it?
Browns.
Yeah. Well,
So that would have been great for all the Shador and Gabriel and everything that the Browns bring with them. That would have been great to attend those practices.
yeah, I mean, they'll still have some video up. We'll still see some video of those reps, mostly the good ones, unless you want to go onto the Browns Twitter account, in which I'm sure they'll have some reps of some of their, defensive bodies, getting past our offensive line. But I mean, yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I want more accessibility because honestly, training camp as a fans, when we watch it, we realistically can get some sort of opinion how the team is. Is the team good or bad? So now, of course, the final point about the training camp. Last year, I went to back to practice. Pardon me, FanFest at Clemson. At that event, the offense did good. The defense looked great. And here's the proof that practice is not always telling you the truth because the defense was terrible in the season. The offense was tremendous. So it's just a proof that sometimes practice realistically doesn't tell you the whole story. Now, speaking of depth, this team finally is very deep at wideout, but instead of having wide receivers that are not good, they have some gems like Jimmy Owen Jr., who I believe is also 5'8", just like myself, and from Colorado. I think he has a chance to make it. I really do. In his game, remind me of Steve Smith Sr.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have someone that can blow the top off of defenses, and that's going to be his job. Is just get down there quick. I mean, he's fast. So yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of like a Philly Brown type. Maybe a Ted Ginn, but he's not afraid to go out of bounds after touching the ball. Yeah, man, he's exciting. And you can't write off any guy that hasn't been drafted after we saw what Coker did last year. So you just don't know with a lot of these guys. But yeah, he's exciting for sure. He's a gem. Chesney is quick too. What's his name? Dan Chesnia or Chesnia? That
Yeah,
dude's quick.
I don't think he's going to make it. I mean, because the other day they signed Hunter Redfro, who is a local, not a kid anymore. I mean, he's 29 years old, so he's definitely not a kid for NFL standard. But he's basically, he went to Clemson, and I don't know if you saw, they posted like when he signed the contract, and he stated basically he was a Panthers fan from day one, which is very nice.
Yeah, me and him both. I hope that he's going to be healthy and that he's going to get his body. an NFL ready shape and that he can make this roster because he's proven that he can really be a threat. So yeah, I'm rooting for him for sure. Seems like a
But
really good dude.
yeah, sure, absolutely. And we didn't know that he was sick with celiac disease, which explained why he stepped away last year. But in a way, his game is very similar to Adam Finland. Very similar type of wideout. So I don't know if you can realistically have the two. I mean, you can, but it doesn't make sense to basically have the two similar wideout.
Well, it'll take care of itself. I mean, they're gonna take the best six guys or whatever, and we'll have guys in the practice squad because as you understand the game, people get injured. The
So,
guys that we're thinking that there's going to be some guys that are going to be injured that we are really counting on. I mean, look what happened with Derek Brown. So this wide receiver room for it to have depth that's crucial because we've got some age there, we've got some youth there for sure, but we're going to need some health for a 17 game season and hopefully knock on wood into the playoffs.
right. So at least 20, 21 games, if my math is correct.
Is
So
that including
20,
the Super Bowl?
yeah, yeah,
Good, I like that.
right. Of course.
Good.
I mean, we are 0-0, just like anyone else. But realistically, the expectation for this team should be to win the NFC South. I know the Falcons have got better, the Buccaneers got better, but realistically, the NFC South in general is a weak division in general. So we should be competitive up to early January, maybe late December. Like the way I see it, if we win again 6 games, 7 games, I understand you're not able to improve the defense overnight, but someone should get fired. And you can tell T-Bone, you can tell anyone you want to. I'm calling it right now. If they win 5 to 6 games next season, someone better get fired. Because the roster, especially on offense, it should equal to nine wins. 9 wins, the very least.
Well, it wouldn't be one of your podcasts if you didn't drop the hammer down saying, you,
I'm not going like Willie P style, like Willie P, Will Pelagic, 2 years ago. Do you know how many games he predicted the Panthers will win?
yeah, he just picked the same amount that I did. We both picked 12. I mean, that's the
And I
reason.
mean,
Well, that's the reason why you can hear Dan when Kyle Bailey asked him. He goes, "Hey, do you think this is a playoff team?" And Dan's hesitant to just go ahead and give expectations on everything because all expectations do is just get people more riled up, and it can apply extra pressure that you don't need. Now, people say pressure isn't real. That's fine, but over the last few seasons, including the Scott Fitterer seasons, there was a whole lot of oh yeah, we're going to the playoffs. Did you see who we got? We're going to the play. So we're every single year is why people are just, you know, and now here we are again. People are saying, man, I don't care what. That's a job as fans. That's what we're job. That's our job as fans is to get all riled up and amped up to say that you know what this is a team that can win the NFC South and can make a run in the playoffs. Look what happened to Washington Commanders last year. They went from 5 wins to the NFC Championship. So and it's not like their entire roster was perfect. It wasn't, but they were able to ride a hot hand in their quarterback, like I think we could with Bryce. So I'm all about getting pumped up and saying yes we can, but I can understand Dan and the coaching staff and a lot of these other folks that are talking pieces for the team, the beat writers, even Darren Gant's like, oh, we might win some games. I mean, like I can see how they're just kind of like, maybe we just go into the season just saying, let's just see what happens.
but with Darren Gant, with all the respect to him, and he's a great beat writer, keep in mind he worked for the Panthers. So I
But he's
don't.
a legend, and he keeps it pretty straight. I mean, I don't think he's over there, blowing smoke up any. I mean, he keeps it pretty honest on. No, I think he's got good work for sure. Sorry, what were you saying?
He does, but I mean, I'm sure. Speaking of the draft, I'm sure he probably knew that they are drafting a T-Mac, but he didn't say anything.
I don't think he did, man. I don't think that there were certain people in even that room on draft night that knew. I think they kept it pretty close to the vest. I could be wrong, but I think that they really didn't let that get out whatsoever.
Yeah, which I feel I feel bad for Jalen Walker, and I understand it's competitive. You have to keep it secret, but I wish that there would be a way that you can let the agent know. Listen, we just want to let you know we think highly of your client, but we are not going to draft it. But please don't tell anyone or something
That
like that.
that word will get out so quick. People will know that. Listen, we're going to have to be dealing with Jalen Walker for a while, 2 games a year at least. I mean,
Yeah.
he's going to be. I think he's going to be a problem. I'm assuming, but you know that we'll wait and see on that. But it's a business. He still got drafted. I mean, it's not like we took his money away, and now he gets to take whatever resentment he has towards the Panthers and that to the field. So I wouldn't feel bad for him. I think he's he's going to be just fine. He seems like a really sharp kid.
Right. I mean, he's a Charlotte kid. I don't know if you saw last week, basically on the draft night, basically all of the Charlotte local station, because everyone assumed Jaden Walker will be the pick. They sent basically folks to his draft party from
Yep.
Charlotte.
Yep. Sorry,
We
one second, buddy. Didn't mean to flash you there.
improved the rating. Oh, it's okay. So anyway, I was saying it's interesting how they kept it so close to the vest, which I understand it's a business, but like I said, I wish that there would be a way for them to be somewhat honest, but yet draft their guy. But like I said, the NFL is competitive. And speaking of the NFL, I'm sure you saw the prank by what the Falcon, the kid for the Falcons, defensive coordinator, which forgot the coach name, the defensive coordinator, but that was so childish, immature, and very dumb decision by that kid. And I honestly think, forget about me being a Panthers fan. I honestly think that coach in the Falcons got away with very easy. Very easy. Because here's the deal. We talk about how competitive the NFL is. So how in the world would you go home? Okay, you go home, but how in the world would you go home and leave your work secretive iPad with the playbook, with the plays, with every secretive information wide open? So anyone, even a guest, if they come to the house, can come and see it.
I mean, I he says he left it open. Maybe the kid knew the passcode. I mean, this is an entitled brat, in my opinion. For you to videotape yourself making this call, you chose Shador, which that tells me something right there. Just by optics alone, you're some white kid that's going to go and pull a fast one on someone that's having a bad time right now. That's some bullshit. I'm sorry for my language, but that
Okay.
I didn't like it either. And yeah, I mean he's going to lose. The coach is going to lose like a month's worth of salary. He makes a million something a year. He got fined 100,000, but at least everyone knows what that dude's name is. So he's going to have to carry that stupid decision, that what I would call an entitled punk decision, his entire life. And it is what it is. But yeah, I thought that was just so moronic.
Right. I mean, it's one thing you want to make a joke, fine, but to record it and upload it It's clearly show that kid is not very intelligent, not very bright. I mean, even though you go to a very good school, Mississippi State, it still doesn't mean he's a bright kid. But B, it's also show that he has no value, no moral. Because forget about Shador, his color, which it's irrelevant. Forget about his talent, whether it's a first round or a second round or a fifth round or so on. To pull a prank on someone, waiting for them to be called, waiting for them to be called, and we don't know that, but I'm guessing he didn't call him on day one. I'm assuming he called him on day two. And to pull something like that clearly show that the kid has no good conscience, no good conscience, because why would anyone A, think it's a great decision, B, record it, and C, upload it? I mean, what did he try to accomplish? Being famous? Well, he's famous, got his 15 minutes of fame or shame. His dad is losing a lot of money. And B, his reputation, as you rightly said, is tarnished. But I believe even the NFL should have banned for a couple of years. I understand he's the son of the coach and all of that, but send that kid a strong message. What you did, we are not going to tolerate it.
Yeah, man, I just, if we were to pull a prank on, like me or you or something like that, pull a prank on T-Bone, something like that, it's like we're friends. We know each other. You know what I mean? Like there's a correspondence there to be like, oh, he didn't mean anything really mean. It wasn't a mean spirited thing. This felt mean spirited. This felt like he's trying to be, hey, look at this, Shadur Sanders. Hey, he's having a really bad time right now. Check this out. Let me that's just it's abhorrent. It's egregious, and like you said, I mean, he got off easy. He got off soft. So um,
Yeah, and so did the Falcons. I mean, I'm, I'm sure he's a good coach, but honestly, I wouldn't want to have my coach or my employee working for very secretive. In essence, the NFL is secretive business. Having my employee take his personal computer home and leave it wide open that anyone can see it. So honestly, if I was the Falcons, I would have suspended for some time, maybe even fire him. But they believe in second and third chance. So it is what it is. And I also saw that there were other players who were pranked. Abdul Kader, Tyler Warren. So they definitely need to investigate that. And finally about the Panthers, you're getting tired, which I completely understand. The final thing about the Panthers, we really didn't address the linebacker, which I saw Dan Morgan's on the radio. I owe Dan Morgan on the radio stating he's okay with it. He's but the zone is cornerback, to be honest with you, Bo, because we have right Michael Jackson, J.C. Horn, and Show Wade Smith. Those are our three cornerbacks. I don't know who's our fourth and fifth or sixth cornerback at the moment.
yeah, I mean, I like Mike Jack. I thought he did a serviceable job in a lot of situations, playing opposite of J.C. Horn. We're going to need those guys to stay healthy. We're gonna need a lot of those guys, but they'll bring in some other guys, and you got to just hope that our defensive backs coach and those guys secondary they can coach up some guys off the street, but I just think that what they did to build in the trenches in this offseason, that was the most important thing. We're still a little light in depth in linebacker position too, but they were talking about how great Shaq Thompson's numbers were before he got hurt last season, and it's like, well, yeah, they're going to be great because our defensive line is so bad. That's the next dude up that's going to be tackling everybody. So for us to spend all that money on all those big hog mollies up front, and then we drafted some young guys. I mean that's going to make everyone else's job down the line a lot easier. But you know, I think
Yeah,
that's a little different than what Scott Fitterer did when it was just kind of he's kind of all over the place. I mean, Dan Morgan clearly had intention behind the way he was going to build up this team in the last two off seasons, and on paper, I thought he did a great job.
yeah, and three quick players that was happy that they drafted, and one and two more that they signed. First one, Cam Johnson. Finally, we have Cam back in Carolina. No,
Yeah,
that
that's
is
right. That's right.
he's a big guy. So he's basically at the very worst is going to be Derek Brown replacement. Let's hope. I mean, backup. Let's hope Derek Brown does not go down. But body wise, size wise, he can potentially be Derek Brown or Eshan Robinson replacement if they need to. Hopefully not. The other players that I'm very high on, if he can stay healthy, Trevor Jr. In my opinion, he's a steal. I wonder if Lizzie Canales recommended that because if you know Bo, maybe you don't. Julie, last name, you know who I'm talking about. Fourth round, recommended that the Panthers drafted Shuba Abel. That was a tremendous pick. So I'm wondering if Lizzie Canales, since it's a fourth round, recommended that the Panthers draft Trevor Etienne Jr. Because if he can stay healthy, he has a chance to be a starter. I don't know if he can replace Chuba because Chuba just signed an extension. He's very good, but can be double trouble because Chuba is more north-south type of running back, and Etienne is more east to west. He's a very good wide out as a running back. He's also explosive in the return game. The only thing with him, he need to stay healthy. And then finally, the safeties that two players, the safeties that they drafted is very remind me of Jeremy Chin. Really remind me of Jeremy Chin, which is not bad. Hopefully, Evero will know how to use Litton better than he did Jeremy Chin. And then two final players, Moose Jr., the son of Musin Muhammad from Texas A&M, close to you. He has a chance to be very good. We should see. I think at the very least, he's going to make the practice squad. And then finally, the kickers that they signed from Florida State, I think he's going to win the kicking battle against Matthew Wright. He has a very deep leg and he was very accurate last season. Didn't miss a kick, if I remember correctly.
Well, I pumped the brakes on that. From listening to JJ Jansen on Kyle Bailey the other day, he was talking about how a lot of these kickers, when they go to their first team, it doesn't work out. It's a finicky thing like that. So I trust his analysis on that. Matthew Wright, I mean that dude's, you know, I guess he's good. I have no idea. I really don't. But you know, we don't have Eddie anymore, so I think we can all be happy about that. I wasn't his biggest fan for sure.
Yes, same and I. And any thought on the other players I mentioned beside Cam Johnson, the safety and Moose and ETN?
Yeah, we kind of got some running backs that all have different specialties, which is good. He definitely looks like he could be a piece on the special teams as well. So um, he's got potential, man, and we've got depth at running back, which is good. We've got guys that are return guys. Uh, I, I I can't fault them for wanting to get him in the what was it, the fourth round? That's when we got him. I mean, so um, it's nice to know that hey, we don't have to run Chuba into the ground. Kind of like we did with McCaffrey. You've seen how that's kind of caught up to him a little bit with the injuries. So it's good for everyone. We can mix it all around and let these guys let these guys last a little bit longer in Carolina than just churn out a running back and then see ya.
And if Lizzie Canales, which I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking
Oh
Couple
yeah,
of
you're
years.
talking about Matt Rule's wife, Julie Rule, recommending Chuba. Listen, I was making jokes about it. I said I think Dan Morgan called up Julie Rule and said, "Hey, what running back should we take?" I mean, she's
No,
obviously the
she's in
savant,
Omaha.
right? So,
She's in Omaha, but maybe Lizzie Canales. Maybe Lizzie Canales recommended that. Something Kyle Bailey. Hopefully, you can ask Kyle Bailey.
well, you could
Ask
call
him
into the
if
show. You call into the show and ask her. You know,
I never call him to this show.
well, why don't you?
YouTube
Why,
celebrity. YouTube celebrity has no business calling to the show. They should call my show.
oh, you're big. You're big. Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Well, that's
Exactly.
all.
So they should
It's
call my show. I mean, the final point we had a flounder and Fidi Marlowe, both of them joined me a couple of weeks ago live in the show. So they should call my show. So that is the point why I'm not calling. But
well,
anyway,
good luck with that. I don't think you're gonna have much of a chance, but good good luck with that.
hey, boys, the final point. I mean, last time you were on my channel, I think I only had 80 subscribers or 85. Right now I'm almost at 400. So I'm getting there.
You got the bow
I'm,
bump? Is it, I give you the bow
I'm,
bump?
yeah,
All
definitely
right.
so. So thank you both for coming in on a short notice.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad I could be the
The pinch hitter.
the pinch hitter. There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
All
As
right.
always,
Thanks,
have a
man.
great time. Thanks,
You too,
both.
Chickhead.
Bye.
See you, man.
Thanks.